And it seems, honestly, if you look at his whole story now as we jump into Genesis chapter 12, everything that we've covered from Abraham chapters 1 and 2, and now as we proceed forward, I can't find a time in Abraham's life where he has this long period of, oh, finally, okay, things are, there's no testing going on. God's just prospering everything, and it's just smooth, flowing, easy, clear waters for him. It seems that his and Sarah's life in its entirety is one of test after test after test. And gratefully, we call them the father and mother of all the faithful, because he just seems to find a way to stay faithful.
And I think we sometimes underestimate how much is asked of him, right? He's going from an urban lifestyle to becoming a nomad for the rest of his life. He's going to be in a land that it will eventually be given to him and his seed, but God actually tells him it's going to be 400 years, just so you know. And so he's living where other people feel like they control, and he always has to be careful of that, moving from place to place to place continually. I mean, it is never easy, and as we've said, never seen it for a long time. How are these prayers and these blessings going to be answered? Nothing about Abraham's life is easy at any point.
So let's jump into chapter 12, Genesis, where we transition from, in a roundabout sort of way, what could be considered a Joseph Smith translation of the story, because we're getting all of this additional stuff from the book of Abraham. Now we jump into the biblical narrative, chapter 12, verse 10. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous.
Sorry, maybe I can just interrupt and say I think that just where we see the famine in Egypt in both these stories, it gives us the idea that this first part of chapter 12 is probably just a different version of what we had in chapter 2. And neither one is more full or more or less correct. They both just give us some different things, different information, and there's overlap between them. But it seems to be this kind of establishing of the covenant. I don't know that we can tell that for sure, but that seems to cover the same ground, as it were.
And I'll point out, we have all this beautiful new revelation that we get, this new doctrine and updates to the story from the book of Abraham. If all you had was the Bible, there's actually this incredible plot twist, right? There's this cosmic history going on. And then suddenly out of nowhere, God shows up. You go from Genesis 11 to Genesis 12, and out of nowhere, God shows up and chooses one man to give him all these blessings. And from a literary standpoint, this is actually kind of mind-blowing plot twist. And there's this deep focus on one man and his family and all these promises that God wants to give. And it really captures your attention. Now, what I love is that we have all this enormous backstory of Abraham's ongoing faithfulness to the point that God says, okay, I can trust you that you will always follow me, and therefore I'm giving you these eternal blessings. And because of your faithfulness for so many years, you will be a blessing for so many people, because these blessings will now be offered to everybody who comes through you or joins your family. So I just kind of love how the Bible puts it together. I actually love both approaches.
Yeah.